Live from the Student Union on campus, this is Gold Mine Live. Your weekly all-access pass inside Charlotte Athletics is brought to you by Ortho Carolina, proud to present the 2017 Charlotte 49ers football season. Bojangles, it's bow time. Your Carolina Ford dealers. Go to yourfordchoice.com and enter the Adventure Ready giveaway to win a 2017 Escape or Fusion from your Carolina Ford dealers. Harris Teeter, where 49ers fans shop for groceries. University Eye Associates. And by Wells Fargo. Charlotte 49er fans, show your pride with a customized Wells Fargo debit card. Stop by your nearest Wells Fargo or visit Wells Fargo Card Design Studio online to learn more. Now, here's your host, the voice of the 49ers, Matt Swerad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gold Mine Live as we have a split show today talking Niner basketball. Head coaches Houston Fancher and Cara Consuegra. And back home this week for the Niner men, a couple of big home games coming up against two Texas schools. UTEP in town on Thursday, 7 o'clock, that game. And on Saturday, UTSA comes in. They're playing some pretty good basketball right now. Joined as always by Jobey Thomas and head coach Houston Fancher. Coach, good to see you on this Monday. Hope you're doing all right.
Doing good, Matt. Thank you. Wet, but glad to be here.
Yeah, a little wet and kind of nasty this weekend, but warming up, though. I know the
It
baseball
is.
team opens up this week, and starting to get that warmer weather for them. And it's going to be good to get back home this week. A really big game coming up against UTEP on Thursday night, but first and foremost, just good to get back home.
It is. It's good. It's always good to be back in front of our people. And as we said, we got 4 of our last 6 at home. It starts here with UTEP on Thursday, which is a big game for us in terms of tournament implications for us, because they're sort of down where we are standings-wise, and we have a chance to leap past them if we can get a win in here on Thursday. So it is a big week for us, and we'll go back in practice today. We reviewed our film all day yesterday and spent a lot of time evaluating that and looking back and now looking ahead. And we'll turn the page to UTEP here in practice today and start our preparation for them.
Folks that didn't know, this last week went on the road again, and we weren't totally healthy. Won't be totally healthy the rest of the season with some injuries that we have, but play without Andrew White on Thursday at Louisiana Tech. Got him back on Saturday. It'll be nice to have at least that complement of guys for this week.
It will. To get him back into the mix, and he looked the other day like he hadn't played very much with him coming back. And one of the things that's difficult, during this period of time, we basically had 6 players during that time, so it's hard to have a practice that simulates a game because you can't have as much live play because you can't afford to get anybody else injured. So we had to cut back on what we did as far as competition during the week of practice to protect some people, to make sure we didn't lose anybody else. So there wasn't as much contact or competition, and it sort of told on us a little bit the way we executed offensively. I think it had an effect on us. So we'll get back today. We'll have 11 guys in today. We count our walk-ons, so we'll have enough we can get what we want to get done in practice and hope it carries over to game time.
Nobody's going to feel bad for us or make excuses, but you haven't been with your best shooters all together in quite some time, and you're not going to have the whole piece because of Ryan Murphy being out with a broken foot. It has made things more difficult, more challenging.
It has, and when you talk about, you play a game without Milos here and then turn around and play one without Andrew in here, and then all of a sudden you pull Murphy out of the lineup, and all of a sudden Bryant Thomas is out for 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, you're picking and pulling, trying to get things to be cohesive and consistent, and that's just not conducive to that type of environment when you're taking a lineup and changing your lineup and having to pick and pull and having to go small, having to go big, and have to make some adjustments based off injuries, and that's a difficult thing to ask of a young, fragile team, and to establish that type of consistency is what we're still searching for, and they're working at it. We didn't score the ball well on this road trip, like you said, not having Andrew not playing, of course, in the first game, and then not having him too much in the second game because of foul trouble as well. So, we got some more. I thought we got better performances from Milos, a better performance from Jalen Haslam on the inside, and got some contributions down there. So we're going to continue to try to build and hopefully get that established consistency here the last 3 weeks of the seast.
No matter what league you're in, it's tough to win on the road. And we go into La Tech, and here's a team that's now won 90 of their last 98 home games. That's the 5th best home record since 2012. Then you go to Southern Miss, and they're getting better under Coach Sadler now in his 4th season. After all those NCAA violations that were committed with the previous coaching staff, they're starting to get things back together. They're winning at home. That's their 10th win at home. So they almost beat. The only loss was Old Dominion on Thursday, one of the best teams in our league. They took them to the wire, lost by 5. So 2 tough places to go last week.
It was, and they've become all tough for us right now just based on who we are and where we are right now. But if you think back, as we go back game to game, I thought, from the Louisiana Tech game, they shot the ball extremely well early on. And the thing that we got to guard against that we didn't do a good job in either game is our starts. Our starts put us chasing from behind at Louisiana Tech early. And then, we really talked about it, really focused on it, and it came out and we went down 18-2. To start Southern Miss, and then worked our way back in it where it's a 4-point game going into halftime, and you had to work so hard to get back in that position to just be on even ground with them. So, going forward as we look at this, our early possessions, we're going to do a good job of scripting what we're doing offensively and making sure we know exactly what we're looking for. You can't get a shot clock violation on your first possession, and you can't get blown by on your first defensive possession. That's just not conducive to successful basketball. And so we're growing, and they're continuing to work at it, and their attitudes are good, and we're looking forward to being back home this week.
Coach, it seems like in spite of the struggles, you come back home now, and the sense is this team just needs to be able to taste victory. You've got two potentially winnable games. Again, every game is challenging and hard under the circumstances, but just need to taste that victory, and that could really propel you guys moving forward.
You're right, and we got such a good feeling after the Middle Tennessee game because how we competed against the best team in the league and put ourselves in position late, down 3 with 10 seconds to go with an opportunity to either tie or potentially send it to overtime or stretch the game out just a little bit. So we saw what we're capable of when we're playing well, and that was without Andrew in the second half too. So it's like you said, if we could find a way, it's hard to keep asking guys to come back after you lost so many in a row from a confidence standpoint. And it's hard to reestablish confidence with kids who haven't seen or tasted that taste of victory like you're talking about. So, hopefully I have an opportunity to do that this week and get them feeling good about themselves and playing with that type of confidence they need in order for us to be successful.
Had a couple of better games in the glass. Really did a great job against Louisiana Tech. You did win the battle Saturday against Southern Miss by 1. How big is that going to be going into this game against UTEP? Little different team we've played recently in terms of how they're made up, and another team trying to find their way a little bit. Well,
they'll start 6-8 and 7-1 on the inside, and Paul Thomas and Matt Wilms, who are both very good post players. They're not a great rebounding team despite that. Now, Wilms hasn't played the full complement of games, and Thomas is floating around the perimeter a little bit more than he did in the past. So they get that rebound about 5 or 6 a game, on average over the course of the season. But that's an area where we've really cleaned up. Like you said, I think with all of our post guys have rebounded the ball well. I think JD had 8 rebounds at Louisiana Tech and then had 6 more the other night. So our guards are rebounding down a little bit too, which is big for us. So it's crucial for us from a defensive standpoint to make sure we limit people to one possession and then maybe get a couple of cheap baskets off the offensive glass.
We're going to talk to Milo Supia coming up a little bit later in the show, next segment actually, and he had a back injury that he suffered early in the game against UAB. Really didn't play 2 straight games. Came back though, gave you a nice road trip last week. Both games getting 8 rebounds, came close to a double-double on Saturday.
He did, and when Mamilos plays with confidence and without hesitation, he's fantastic. And sometimes he'll second-guess himself and doesn't play with the confidence that he needs to because he's really talented. And he can do a lot of things. He can guard, rebounds the ball extremely well. He's got good feet. He's got great hands. He's a work in progress on the free throw line that we're continuing to grow out of a little bit. But he's going to be a fantastic player here. He already is a good player. And as he continues to grow and understand the speed of the game a little bit more and be able to adjust to that a little bit more, he's just going to get better and better.
One of those guys, too, you think that as he gets older and gets more games under his belt, he's a good passer. He's a good, big guy low in the post that can find other guys as well.
He's got fantastic hands. He made some catches. Now, the good news there is he's a great catcher. The bad news is we're bad passers. So he can catch bad passes. And that's a great thing for him because he catches some that look almost impossible because he can reach out and catch them with one and catch some bullets that are probably a little bit too fast for a normal person to be passing. But he has got terrific hands. He's got good vision. And he can finish over either shoulder, and he can put the ball on the ground a little bit. He's a complete package, and I think he's going to be, before it's said and done, going to be a fantastic player for Charlotte.
Talking about the passing, it wasn't a great road trip in terms of getting W's, but some of the post passes, some of these guys like Milos and Jalen Hassel made some really nice interior little pocket passes, good catches.
And it's for us, it's a win to get double-figure assists right now, just in terms of our ball security, and taking care of the basketball. And one thing that's really bothered us all year long is, points we've allowed off turnovers, and we gave up 8 points off of our inbounds plays. not their inbounds plays, off our inbounds plays where we turned it over and they scored out of it, either on their end or on our end. We threw a couple ill-advised passes that they took and went for layups on the other end. And, those are plays that just can't happen. You can't allow those type things to happen, and that's something we got to continue to get better at. But our ball security and our ball possession has been a little bit of a problem for us all season, and that's something we're continuing to work on. We're spending time with ball handling drills. We're doing fundamental stuff as far as just pass and catch, and making sure we're delivering passes on time and on target. And that's something we got to be able to do in the course of the game and throughout pressure, because you think about that 18 points that you could get back in the game that you lost by 18. So I'm not saying that would have won the basketball game for you, but put you in a better position, going down the stretch.
Yeah, that's one thing you talked about on the pregame show on Saturday, was trying to keep the turnovers under a dozen. Ended up being at 16, and that's just not what you want to see. And unfortunately, it's hurt us a lot throughout the season.
It has, and that's something that you can analyze statistics till you're blue in the face, but the reality of it is when you watch possession by possession, for us, we're pretty, we've become more of a low possession team now that our numbers are drilled a little bit, and so we got to be really efficient. And when you're not shooting it as well, you got to make sure, and there's been games where we've shot in the 50s, in two of the last 3 games. But our turnovers, when you look at 14, 16, and 18 turnovers, don't give you the opportunity to even take those shots. So it's hard to score when you're chasing people the other way, and that's an area we've got to continue to shore up as too.
Well, Coach, we'll take our first time out of the show. As we mentioned, our special guest is Milos Supica. We'll have Milos come up here next, spend some time with our freshman post player from Serbia. We'll take a timeout after that, come back with Coach Houston Fancher, and then have the second half hour with the Niners head women's basketball coach, Cara Consuegra. This is Gold Mine Live today from the Student Union on campus on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take F-150, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom, look who just saved a stack of cash. Step on it, sport. Drive home America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Ford Truck Month is here. It's buy now time, people.
Right now, get $10,459 in total savings on a 2018 F-150 during Ford Truck Month, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel. Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live with Jobey Thomas on Matt Swarad. Now a special guest joining us is freshman Milos Supica, and playing this season in his first year with the Niners. Average just about 6 points a game right now, just under 5 rebounds a game. Those numbers go up a little bit in league play. Milos, good to see you. Hope you're doing all right.
Yes, sir.
Talk about how your season's gone. We'll get to the team in a little bit, but making the transition from high school, and of course you came from Serbia. You'd already been in the United States a little bit, but making the transition out to Division I college basketball, what's it been like for you?
Well, Serbia is a country that plays a lot of different styles of basketball, and they're all different from U.S. basketball. So coming here, it was kind of hard adjustment to make, because the pace here and pace in Serbia is totally different. U.S. pace is much faster than our pace the way we play in Serbia. So that was one of the hardest adjustments I had to make. And also it's a lot more physical playing in the U.S. than I used to play in Europe. So, and now playing for college Division I basketball, I already got used to it and I'm getting better at it. So
I think one of the things that had been difficult for you is the back-to-back games, not back-to-back nights, but now in conference play 2 games in 3 days. That must have been a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. I got used to playing 1 game a week. Well, this is a big change for me, going into the season, playing a lot of games, only in 3.5, 4 months, playing 35 games. So that's a really fast pace, and it's intense, You got to keep your body healthy and in order to produce in a game and be good. So,
You feel like this year you're making that progress that you want, and getting better in the areas you hope to improve on before the year is over?
Say what? I didn't hear you.
You feel like you're getting better in the areas that you were hoping to improve on this year once you got into conference play?
My goal is to improve as much as I can, inside and outside of paint. So I'm trying to become that real stretch forward where I can like shot a three and post up whenever I can. So yeah, I'm still working on it. And my free throws, of course.
Milos, maybe think of something that when you consider the adjustment. You talked about the challenges, the speed of play at the Division I level. What's something that maybe you anticipated would be harder than it actually has been coming into Division I your first season?
That's a tough question.
I mean to stump you.
Yeah.
It's early on Monday.
Yeah.
No morning classes for Milos today. It's going to come later tonight.
Well, the game is physical, but I thought it's going to be a lot more physical than high school, but it's actually just a little bit more. So that's the only thing really.
How's the adjustment been as far as just classes? You talked about playing multiple games instead of one game a week, but now you add you had high school classes, but the load in college is more difficult. How's that adjustment been?
Yeah, high school was a lot more easier than this, but I got used to this too. Every day is almost the same. You wake up, you got class, you got practice, you go weightlifting, and then you go back to class. You come back and rest. So that's how it is most of the week. And some weekends you get off, and that's when you gotta rest and take care of your body. So.
Have you been able to meet any other Serbians on campus besides Luka, one of your teammates?
Yeah, I met actually two of them. One of them goes to UNCC, one of them doesn't. So
okay.
He's on the track and field team. So
when you look at you mentioned being over in Serbia, playing once a week, a lot more practice. You're one of those guys that really enjoys getting in the rim and getting in the gym and practicing every day.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to get as good as I can be. So I'm working on it. In Serbia, we practice like almost every day. So here we get only like 3 practices a week because we got to play a lot of games throughout the whole season, and you got to get as many you got to use your free time smartly and work on your game.
The game coming up this week at UTEP, a big game for you. Talk about playing at home at Halton, what that's like.
That's an incredible experience. First time I played at Halton, it was we had a big crowd. Comparing to the high school, high school is nothing, In Serbia, we played in front of 50 people, so that was nothing. Coming here and playing in front of 5,000 people, yeah, it's an incredible experience. So.
That is, unless you play Partizan or Red
yeah,
Star,
yeah.
Belgrade.
Well, that's professional level.
Yeah, they got some. I'll just say from experience, I played a game in Belgrade, Serbia against Partizan, and probably the craziest game I've ever played in my life, and the most amazing crowd I've ever played in front of. So anyway, you don't want to slight your own people in their love for the game of basketball. When you think about just growing up in Serbia, a country rich with basketball history, sometimes people in the States might not know, but in Europe, just a lot of great players, and now we're seeing more and more NBA players coming out of your country. Who's a player that maybe you saw growing up, or maybe it was an American player who you'd like to model your game after and learn from?
Well, this player I like, I'm not trying to model my game like he is, but he was one of my favorite players, which is Petar Stojakovic. He was a great shooter, and but he wasn't playing my position, but he was still my favorite player. So recently I was watching a lot of Blake Griffin stuff, because I feel he plays my position. I'm trying to just make my game like his, develop my shot more, and work on my post game. So
you guys all seem to get along really well. This is a great group on this team. But what are some things you like to do when you're not in the gym?
Definitely watch movies. Hang out with my friends, just chilling in my apartment with my friends, and that's it.
Summer plans, staying here, going to try to get back home. What are you going to do?
I'm trying to go back because I got a invite for a national team, so I gotta respond to that and come there in June. So I'm gonna definitely go back this summer and enjoy some time with my family.
Sounds good. Hey, Milos, thanks so much for stopping by this morning, and good luck the rest of the season. Hope it's a great finish for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Milos Supica joining us here on the show today. Gold Mine Live will take a timeout, come back and have one more segment with head coach Houston Fancher, then spend the second half hour talking to head coach Cara Consuegra about the women's program. They've won now 3 games in a row, starting to turn the corner a little bit as they head down the home stretch in Conference USA as well. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take F-150 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom, look who just saved a stack of cash. Step on it, sport. Drive home America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Ford Truck Month is here. It's buy now time, people.
Right now, get $10,459 in total savings on a 2018 F-150 during Ford Truck Month. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
The Student Athlete of the Week, sponsored by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers. This week's Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week is Sierra Stout. Stout is a freshman on the women's golf team from Franklin, Tennessee. She played in all 4 tournaments during the fall for Charlotte, helping start the 49ers' newest team. She had a top 5 finish at the Mary Fossum Invitational and was 3rd on the team with a 76.5 stroke average. Away from the course, she excels in the classroom, earning a spot on the Chancellor's List with a GPA over 3.8 and on the CUSA Honor Roll. Sierra Stout, the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week. This has been the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live as we have one more segment here with head coach Houston Fancher back on the show now for the last segment. We go to the women's program next. After that, talk to Coach Cara Consuegra at the bottom of the hour. Well, Coach, we're back home. We talked about briefly the teams coming up this week. At the top of the show, UTEP's coming in here on Thursday. UTSA comes in on Saturday. They're a team, the Roadrunners, that they've surprised some folks now in Conference USA. They won 4 straight, including wins against Marshall and Western Kentucky. They've won 5 out of 6, so they're playing their best basketball at the right time of the year.
They're a really good scoring team. They've got they play a smaller lineup, not a lot of bigs in their lineup, but they've got 2 really dynamic guards, 2 freshmen. One guy that'll be the freshman of the year in our league, a kid named Javon Jackson, who gives you 20 a night, just basically every night, and he's got the Joby Thomas green light too, so he'll turn it loose from just about anywhere and make it with regularity. He's very talented off the bounce. They're very well coached. Coach Henson does a great job with them. But they've got a couple veterans on the inside too, and I say veterans, guys that have played a lot for them, who are just sophomores and juniors that are good players for them. So it'll be a big challenge for us against them. Of course, they'll go up and have to go up and battle with Old Dominion on Thursday before they come down here. So our main focus will be on UTEP and try to get that one put to bed before we deal with San Antonio on Friday.
In UTEP, for folks just listening, coming in here on Thursday night, game time is 7 o'clock. That's also an ESPN3 game, so Jobey will slide over to the television with Bobby Rosinski, then be back on the radio for the Roadrunner game on Saturday. 4 of the last 6 games at home, Coach, so the schedule kind of playing out in your favor at the end of the season with a chance to maybe get hot right going into the conference tournament.
Yeah, it will be, and that's, as we talked about, it certainly hadn't been kind to us, and we haven't done ourselves any favors, but, to have the top 5 teams your first 5 home games has been difficult. Now, in every one of those things, I think our crowd's played a huge role in it, because outside of the Old Dominion game, we're involved in every game late. And it's just a matter of us having the confidence and the will to get over the hump at the last 5 minutes of a basketball game. And I think we carried the UAB game. We put ourselves in position late. Had opportunities there, and then against MTSU took it even further. To have it the last few minutes of the game, or last few seconds of the game, as a matter of fact, with a position to get that one taken care of too. And they had a couple guys make threes late in the game that generally don't make threes for them in crucial possessions too. So that was the difference in them being veterans and winning those games, and they've done that all year long. We talked about before, MTSU had won their home games by an average of 20 and their road games by an average of 2. But if you're going to be a team that contends for a championship, you got to be able to win close games. And so that's what we're growing towards, and hopefully we can put ourselves in position Thursday night to get this one against UTEP.
As you look at how the league has played out, with still 3 weeks to go, you got Middle Tennessee at 12-1 atop the league, but then Old Dominion 10-2 and Western Kentucky 10-2. Any surprises after that? Marshall's 8-4, but North Texas right now 7-5, and they did lose on Saturday, but they've surprised some teams, and they're playing well.
They are, and if you look at them, I mean, they return a lot. The addition of Roosevelt Smart has made them really, really good. I think he had 32 against Middle the other night in a losing cause at Middle. And he scored 40-some against Rice one night. Of course, we guarded him pretty decent when we played him at their place, and they've got some things figured out, and Mac's done a good job with them down there. They're played good at home, and like I say, they've gone on the road and competed too. So it's a talented basketball team. They're probably the surprise, I would say, of the league this far. The guys that are on top, the top 4 you see, our top 5 for that matter, were guys who were picked to be up there anyway. But North Texas is the one that sort of separated themselves in that next little category.
We have a little bit of time left in this segment. We talked the last show about some of the guys you signed in the early signing period, and all 3 excelling. Couple, making some all-star teams. Other playing deep in the playoffs in Kentucky. So tell us about that.
Well, all 3 are having successful years. We talked about Cooper Robb as a point guard at Scott County, and he's the number one. He's the starting point guard on the number 1 team in the state of Kentucky right now. So they're the favorites to take it all the way to Lexington and win a championship there. So we're looking forward to following Cooper as he goes on this run. Just a really tough player, and he'll have a night where he'll score 29 and get 8 assists, and he'll have a night where he'll score 10 and get 15 assists. So he adjusts his game really well based on the course of the game, and he's just a tough dude, and will help us a lot at the point guard position next year. And then Isaiah Bigelow and Drayvon Mangum are both kids here in North Carolina who are both their teams won their leagues and had very successful seasons. They just chose the North Carolina-South Carolina All-Star game last week, and both of those kids made it. So that's pretty good when we have, there's 10 kids out of North Carolina to make that state All-Star team, and 2 of them were our signees. So we're excited about Isaiah, who's a 6'6" shooting guard out of Ben L. Smith in Greensboro, and then Drayvon Mangum, who's a 6'7", sort of a swing guard out of Person County. So both those kids have had extremely good years. They've led their teams to number 1 position in their league, and they're looking forward to making state tournament runs, and they both have teams that are capable of contending for state championships. So we're excited about all 3 of those guys and have enjoyed watching them through this season. Look forward to getting them in green here next year, and right now their focus is on trying to get done what they can get done in their high school senior years.
Sounds good. And as we look at UTEP on Thursday, you look at some of their numbers, very similar to ours. Give us some keys to a Niner win on Thursday night.
Well, I think our offensive efficiency is going to be critical. And we look at our points per possession, and we've been below 1, for the last 3 games, and we've got to get that up. We've got to be more efficient on the offensive end. We've got to get consistent performances from our perimeter guys. We've got to get John Austin and Andrew, and all 3 playing well. And then we need to get production on the glass from our big guys. I think that's going to be crucial for us. But it's almost like a recording, but we've got to take care of the basketball. We just do, and that's a bottom line. It becomes instrumental. It becomes incumbent upon the players to take care of the basketball. We can drill and work on fundamentals as much as we want, but when it gets in the heat of the game, and a lot of it goes back to decision making. It's just the wrong pass at the right time or the right pass at the wrong time, whenever you want to say it. But we've got to do a better job of handling that. That's going to be crucial for us. And I think we limit them to 1 shot is going to be critical for us. I think there's a lot of things that could be wrapped up into a small bowl by saying we just got to be more efficient.
Yeah.
On both ends of the floor. We got to be more efficient defensively. We can't have as many breakdowns off the bounce. And on the offensive end, we got to protect the ball and shoot the ball a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, all the things you're talking about seem like it's just common sense and easy, but it's not. And getting off to a good start is another one of those things, because to play with the lead, that adds the confidence, which helps you do everything else you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely, and when you're playing with your head down after the first 5 minutes, it's hard to get back up and see the sunshine again. So we got to get for where we're playing for a head a little, and we did it against UAB, we did it against Middle in here. We had good starts against both those games, and we're involved in the game throughout the course of it because we answered some runs from those 2 teams. But when we got smacked in the face against Louisiana Tech, we sort of put our heads down. Same thing at Southern Miss. We got hit in the head and turned away from it a little bit instead of fighting back. Now, the Southern Miss game, we showed some resiliency and put ourselves back in a position there, going into halftime, and actually got the second half started off pretty good. But we were on a lull from the 18-minute to the 9-minute mark where we scored 4 points. And you can't go 9 minutes and score 4 points. I don't care how good or how bad your defense is. If your offense is not more efficient, more productive than that, you put yourself in a no-win situation. So, John had a heroic effort down the stretch there to make it a little bit more respectable, but we just had a run there in the second half. We weren't scoring the ball from any position.
Coach, before we go, we got to wrap it up and turn things over to the women's side of the program for the next half hour. But one quick thought, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Smith family. Tanner Smith, assistant coach for the Niners, his dad passed away yesterday. He'll be with his family this week. Tough time for the Smiths.
He sure was, and his dad is the ultimate warrior. I mean, you say that, the guy's been dealing with issues for over 25 years now, and finally, as I told Tanner the other day, he didn't win the battle. I mean, he didn't lose a battle, he won a battle, and we know where he's going to be for eternity, and his family's comfortable with that, and there's nothing more valuable. And I had the same experience, but being by one of your parents when you do lose them, he was there by him when he did pass away, and that's something that he'll treasure the rest of his life. But they had a very tight relationship. He was Tanner's best friend, and Tanner's instrumental to us and what we're doing, and we love him, and we feel for him, and our team will certainly be there to support him when he gets back.
We echo the same sentiments and wish them all the best this week, and see him back as soon as he can get back with us going forward. Coach, thanks so much. Have a great practice today. Good week. We'll see you Thursday.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Head coach Houston Fancher will take a timeout, come back, and talk with head coach Cara Consuegra of the Niner Women program. That's coming up next. This is the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take F-150 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom, look who just saved a stack of cash. Step on it, sport. Drive home America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Ford Truck Month is here. It's buy now time, people.
Right now, get $10,459 in total savings on a 2018 F-150 during Ford Truck Month. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel. Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Goldmine Live. Matt Swarad with Jobey Thomas, and now we turn things over to the women's program, joined by head coach Cara Consuegra. Coach, good to see you. Hope you're doing all right.
Doing great. Good to see you guys.
How's things been going? Now you look at the schedule, look at the roster, and look at the the results. The last 2 weeks since we last talked, things going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked obviously several times on this show about us being young and inexperienced, and we just felt like we were making progress and we were getting better. And I think we finally saw a little bit of the results from that. It helped to have 3 games at home, and we took care of business. I mean, we felt like when we came off the road that those were 3 winnable games for us. We set kind of a goal as a team to win all 3, and we did. But what I also liked is I felt throughout those 3 we played better each game as well. So it wasn't just about winning the game. It was also about how we played during those games, and to see us start to play really well, especially on the offensive end, has been, just great to see, obviously.
3 straight wins, 4 out of 5. So you've got the men have 6 left. You have 6 left.
Mm-hmm.
So heading to the home stretch, going into Frisco for the league tournament, playing the way you want to play, getting better too at the right time.
Yeah, I think so. We have a stretch of 4 games coming up right now that are going to be super tough for us.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But bigger picture wise, again, we are playing better. When you look at us, we're starting to actually score at an easier rate, which has been really the difficulty for us all season long. And Nia has become really consistent in conference play. Amaya Ransom started out not shooting the ball great in conference play. She's kind of turned the corner for us. Now we have Mariah Linney, one of our freshmen that I felt like could give us production and was just up and down. She's played really well the last 2 weeks. So we're just starting to come together. And I think, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, sharing the ball a lot better, taking care of the ball a lot better, playing kind of how we envisioned we could play. Took us until February, but that's better than ever for sure.
The next 3 you talked about on the road, you go to La Tech, you go to UAB, you go to Western Kentucky. Not going to be easy, but those games you played earlier are hopefully going to prepare you for these 3 road games. So we were in La Tech last week, and the Lady Techsters hosted a good Rice team and blew the doors off them, so they're starting to play better too.
No doubt. And the thing about La Tech, we played them twice last year. We lost to them both times. We're very different teams in terms of the matchup. We play fast, we play finesse, we share the ball. they play slower, they play physical, they play kind of bully ball. They want to get the ball inside. And so, last year we struggled with their physicality. We struggled rebounding against them. And, when we played at their place last year, we played terrible, quite frankly, and, had a better chance in the conference tournament, but just struggled with their physicality, and that's going to be no different when we go down there. I mean, we've got to be ready to play physical, to play, La Tech plays with kind of a chip on their shoulder, and we've got to be able to match that intensity for sure. And then, after that, we turn around and we go to UAB, who's first in the league and shooting lights out. And so it's going to be a great test for us this week.
Well, going on this trip, the last time we had the show, we had Nia Jamison-Myers on here. She's playing better, getting healthy now, and able to give you what you had hoped she'd be able to give you. And your post presence is a lot better going into this game against La Tech than it was maybe a year ago.
I agree. And, like you said, Nia's healthy. She's playing very consistent. I was looking at her percentages, even if you look at in conference play, she's shooting almost 60% from the field, where in non-conference or overall, she was 50%, really below 50%. So her production has been so much better. But the other thing I think that can't be missed in that is that Dara Pearson, our 4-player, is really improving. And because she's improving, it's a lot harder for teams to be able to double team Nye. For example, our last game against UTSA, they came out with a clear plan to double Nye. Well, we exploited the double team. Dara scored, and they came out of the double team. And then Nye had one-on-one the rest of the game, scores 22 in a super efficient game. So credit to Nye for improving and getting to the point where we knew she could be, but also a credit especially to Dara, who early on was somebody that people weren't playing at all. And she's gotten herself to a place where she's able to contribute, and it makes people think about their game plan against us differently.
And, Coach, the last 2 games you guys have scored over 80 points, and you talked about kind of if there's one thing that's clicked, it's kind of been the offensive side of the ball. How important is it? And we know from experience that in basketball, you can live and die by the jump shot, but if you're able to get those points in the paint, the last 2 games you guys have scored over 50 points in the paint.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think our kids have just done a really good job of owning who we are and working really hard to get the right shots for us. If you would go back and look at film on us early versus film on us now, we took a lot of, I don't want to say bad shots, but hard shots. We took a lot of threes. We took a lot of uncontested threes. We took, a lot of contested shots. Whereas now, we're moving the ball better to get open looks. We're doing a much better job attacking closeouts, right? Because that's what kids do a lot, right? They see space and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to shoot this." Well, you're a 25% three-point shooter. Instead, attack that closeout, make one more pass, get it inside, go inside out, make the defense work, where we just weren't very efficient of that early because, all those young pieces that we were plugging in, I didn't get it. But now they're starting to understand that. And, our assist to turnover ratio over the last 2 games has been completely different than it has been all year for that same reason. And so, I just think all that work that we've been doing, all the film work, all the work on the court, our guards working on, and our posts working on their individuals, they're just taking the right shots for us.
And in theory, doing that, too, you're going to get to the free throw line more, too.
Absolutely, and we've done that pretty well all year. That's been some kind of our bread and butter, getting to the free throw line. But, if you add in that ability to get to the line, add in our offensive rebounding, and then us taking really great shots, that's why we've been able to score 80 points in the last couple games.
Still 6 games to go, and we talked about the next 3 being tough on the road, but you put yourself in your position by winning 4 of the last 5 to be in that conversation for a top 4 spot and a bye in the conference tournament. And in big picture, that's big.
Yeah, I mean, we can only control what we can control and what's in front of us, and we, like I said, we set a goal to win 3 games at home. We did that. After our win on Saturday, we said, okay, and the next goal is to win 1 game. That's all we can control. That's all we can worry about. Try to just make it really small increments for them and focus on, what we can do to try to win at La Tech, which will be a very difficult game. Like, I don't want our team thinking about these next 4 games because these next 4 games are going to be tough, for sure. We can't worry about that. We got to focus on 1 game at a time, stay focused on what we've been doing well, continue to improve. Rebounding for us has been tough. We have not done a great job boxing out, so that's an area we have to improve, continue to get better at our man defense a little bit. And, if we do that, I think it can put us in a position to steal a couple.
Also going on the road, sometimes offense doesn't travel, but defense always does. And you guys have done a really nice job holding teams for the most part, under 70 points.
Defensively, we've actually been pretty solid. The rebounding is what has hurt us. Like, we were able to get the first stops a lot. But we have to get more physical in terms of boxing out. And a lot of times it's not that we're not boxing out, we're just not being physical and trying to drive back. And so that's going to be a big focus for us this week, especially going to La Tech, who's a great rebounding team. If we're able to even eliminate second chance points by 10 more points, you're looking at us holding teams to 60 or below, and you do that, you have a chance to win almost every game that you play.
Not to get ahead of ourselves too much with folks that are coming in and out, and also maybe listening in the car. One of the home games you're coming up before the end of the season is Middle, and that's one of those games where always been one of the best teams in the league, and again one of the best teams in the league. Like to get a great crowd for that one, and the rest of the home games, because you have played so well at home, it is sometimes a deciding factor with that crowd behind you. Oh,
absolutely. This past weekend we had our alumni game and also our Play for K Pink game, and we just had a fantastic crowd. And again, that makes a difference. Our kids really feed off of that, and the community has been really consistent about coming to support us, which we appreciate. But certainly we'll need that down the stretch as we hope to finish out this season really strong.
We'll take a timeout. More to come in the show. This is Goldmine Live. After this break, we're going to talk to Associate Head Coach Joanne Alco-White. She'll be our guest coming up next. Then after that, we'll bring Coach Consuegra back to close out the show as we prepare for this final six-game stretch and this next three on the road starting this week at Louisiana Tech on Thursday. This is Goldmine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take F-150 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom, look who just saved a stack of cash. Step on it, sport. Drive home America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Ford Truck Month is here. It's buy now time, people.
Right now, get $10,459 in total savings on a 2018 F-150 during Ford Truck Month, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel. Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Goldmine Live here on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network. Matt Swarad, Jobey Thomas with you, and we give Coach Consuegra a moment off and bring in now Associate Head Coach Joanne Alco-White to the show. And Coach, good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
You guys are on a nice little run now. You've won 4 of the last 5, and got to be feeling pretty good about where you sit right now as you go to the final 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah, for sure. The girls are really coming together. They're practicing well. Showing a lot of chemistry and doing the right things in practice, so now it's showing up on the court for us.
6th year with the program, first as associate head coach, so congratulations on the change in title and being associate head coach here. Talk about being a 49er and what it's like. You played at Middle Tennessee, so as a coach in this league, you know the league well.
Yep.
But what's it like being a Niner?
Well, for being a Niner, it's been great. I've been blessed to work with Coach Cara for 6 seasons now. She's a great boss, and I've learned a lot under her tutelage. For her being a young coach, she's done a great job with the teams that we've had and showing growth and also showing patience with our young kids. So it's been great. I've enjoyed my experience here at Charlotte.
Has there been any change in what you do, your responsibilities now as associate head coach?
Some change. I'm over the post player, so that's primarily what I do. Actually, the biggest change is just working more hands-on with Cara and talking to her about game plans and different things like that, and just being more hands-on and being more attentive to what she needs from me.
Talk about some of the post players, if you will. Nia Jamison Myers playing well. Derek Pearson playing awfully well right now too. So You know, as this team has kind of evolved this season, you guys have gone along as the post players have improved.
For sure. You know, Nye and Dara have come along here late in our second semester of school as far as conference play. First semester, they're just growing. You know, they've been playing and being more consistent in practice. Nye, of course, in non-conference games, she was battling some injuries and some things like that, and now in conference play, she's healthier, she's more confident, so she's able to do the things that we're used to seeing her do. On the flip side of that, Dara has been very consistent. She's one of our better defenders, especially being able to guard on the perimeter and in the post. And so she's been very consistent this year. She's doing her job at a high level as far as defending and rebounding. And so she's bought into that role for our team, and she's done that really great.
Coach, not only do you work with the post players, but another responsibility, you kind of head up some of the scouting of other teams. Just talk about maybe the process of how you evaluate and prepare your team as you go to play other opponents.
Yeah, you know, what we do as a staff, we kind of divvy it up, and Cara and I sat down together and kind of divvied up the scouts between our assistants. And so, you know, it's a long process of finding out their tendencies and what they like to do and who they like to go to early and late in games. And so it's just a lot of film, watching a lot of film and being prepared for games, and so that we can give our kids the answers. You know, most of the answers to the test, not all of them for sure.
Well, playing at Middle Tennessee State, you've got something in common with Houston Fancher. You both went to Middle, both trying to beat them now. And, you know, talk about going up against them, knowing this conference as well as you do. Yeah,
you know, Middle is always, before working here at Charlotte, I worked at FIU, and they were also in our conference. So I can't get away from Middle at all. Going against Middle, you know, it's my alma mater. I love that school. I grew up as a young adult. But at the end of the day, we want to compete and win. So I don't care where I'm at. We're trying to get a win. So it's been great. You know, Middle has always and traditionally been a solid program, well coached. They've always experienced postseason play, and they've always done a good job of bringing in quality student athletes. So, you know, it's always a tough game for us as far as the competition, because we're always amped to win and always amped to play them. And we've done a good job over the years of being very competitive. This year, this next game up, we're looking to get a W.
Not to give too much away, but give us a quick scout on how to beat them this time.
Make sure Alexis Johnson doesn't get multiple baskets in the paint late game. You know, we were down maybe 5 points with 5 minutes to go, and then she ran off about 6 points back to back. That kind of just killed us. But, you know, this time around is going to be different.
Well, of course, right now we just start up this weekend the Winter Olympics, but back in 2004, you participated in the Summer Olympics and played for Nigeria, I believe. What was that like, playing basketball in the Olympics?
Oh, it was an awesome experience. You know, it's one of those times, you know, I was maybe about 25, 26 years old, and you don't really realize what you're experiencing in that moment. It was a great experience. I was able to see some of the best athletes across the world, and I was fortunate to make the team at that time, and we had a lot of good players on our team, and we actually won the first game that any African country had ever won in an Olympic game. So it was cool.
Does that make you more of an Olympic fan if you weren't already?
For sure, for sure. You know, and our Nigerian national team this year is trying to vie for another opportunity to play in the national in the Olympics coming up. So they have games this summer that they're going to be competing in. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Good luck. This is a good big stretch coming up. Good luck on Thursday against Louisiana Tech, and hope you guys just keep it rolling into the conference tournament.
Absolutely, that's the plan. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We'll take a time out. That's Associate Head Coach Joanne Alka-White. We'll come back and wrap up the show with Coach Cara Consuegra coming up next on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
Okay, it's Ford Truck Month, and here's how it works. You take F-150 Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, work in best-in-class towing and payload, sweeten up the offer, and boom, look who just saved a stack of cash. Step on it, sport. Drive home America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Ford Truck Month is here. It's buy now time, people.
Right now, get $10,459 in total savings on a 2018 F-150 during Ford Truck Month. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift? We've got you. Guitar? Coming tomorrow. Road game today? Surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel! Guitar? Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party? Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live, and got a few more minutes with head coach Cara Consuegra as we head down into the final 3 weeks of the basketball season, and the Niners have now won 4 of their past 5 in a row, and they're on the road for the next 3 going to La Tech this Thursday. Before we talk a little bit about that game against the Lady Texters, one of the players that has certainly played and has emerged lately, that's Mariah Linney, scoring and handling the ball. Coach, talk a little bit about Mariah.
Yeah, I'm just really pleased to kind of see her, I guess emerge is a great word for it. When we signed Mariah, she was South Carolina Miss Basketball, so she had a lot of expectations kind of behind her. And, similar to most freshmen that come into a program, just, took a little bit of time to adjust to her role, to figure out the system. I think that's always even more difficult for a point guard. Now Mariah can play the combo and be an off guard for us, but somebody that has primary ball handling responsibilities and somebody we need to know the offense and understand the system, it just was a little slow for her. And I think in particular for someone like her that, she came from Goose Creek High School where she was everything for their team. Like she did everything, and now you're taking a kid like that and putting her into a different type of role. It just kind of slowed down, I think, her progress a little bit, but I feel like she had been slowly getting better and better. And then, I said this after our game on Saturday. Her and I had a meeting about 3 weeks ago where I said, look, we need you on the court more, and we need you to play better and more consistent. And the way that you're going to do that is by practicing better and more consistent. And ever since we had that kind of conversation, her consistency in practice has been better. And then you can see the carryover to the game. And I know we talked about earlier scoring 80 points. We talked about our assist-to-turnover ratio. Mariah is a big reason for that because now she's playing more minutes, and I can have 2 ball handlers on the court. Earlier in the year, everybody knew about Laya and how great she was, and we needed Laya to do everything. I mean, late game, everybody knew she was going to get the touch. Teams were coming out and just face denying Laya because they knew she ran everything for us. And now with Mo playing so much better, it's taken a lot of pressure off of Laya as well. And because of that, she's not turning the ball over as much because she doesn't have to make every pressure decision there is. It's just made us a much better basketball team. Coach,
you mentioned the meeting that you guys had and the rapport between coach and player, especially coach and point guard, so important. Is that something you try to do individually throughout the season, pull the ladies aside and kind of get some time individually with them? And it obviously paid off in the confidence that Mariah showed.
Yeah, I do. I probably should do it more than I do, to be honest, but I try to be intentional about that, and I, in particular, try to be intentional about that with kids that might not be playing some, because I know when I was a player, I just wanted to know why. I didn't want to be left in the dark. And so I think if you can be intentional about telling them what they need to do, it helps them go out and be in practice and earn that. And, I think it helped Mo, and obviously we're seeing now the production from it.
I hear the fight's on, but quick, give us 2 keys to beating La Tech on Thursday.
We have to rebound, and we have to be able to match their physicality. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. We can beat them. Absolutely, we can go down there and beat them. But if we don't rebound, if we don't match their physicality, we won't.
Sounds right. Coach, thanks, and good luck.
Thank you.
Head coach Cara Consuegra. That's going to wrap up the show here today. For Jobey Thomas, I'm Matt Swarad. We'll see you for the game on Thursday. The Niners take on UTEP. The men do at home at 7 o'clock. So long, everybody.